Hi, I'm Betsy. It's now 4 weeks post-surgery for me after having a prophylactic double mastectomy with a DIEP flap reconstruction. I really thought that by the time we got together today, I was going to tell you that everything was great, that I was totally back to normal, that I wasn't feeling anything anymore. But unfortunately, that is not the week that I have had. I really, frankly, place all the blame at my own feet, that I was feeling really good a week ago. I felt like I could get back to some of my normal activities. I wasn't doing like wild things like reaching for, the plates in a high cabinet. I was doing simple everyday things like wearing shirts that I had to pull over my head and, brushing my own hair. I wasn't doing anything that seemed like reckless or dangerous. It just felt like everyday normalcy. But it just seems like with that, I've stretched some things that probably weren't supposed to be stretched, and so I've started having pain again. I had been off all of my pain meds, but I had to pick some up again this week just because it's not that it hurt so much as it was just wildly uncomfortable. And my chest was feeling very heavy. I had a place that a week ago I showed you that had not sealed back up on my chest. And it just has continued to it will seal and then it'll break open again. And it's just been so frustrating. So I feel like this was a week of setbacks with my pain. And then I had another setback yesterday. I was feeling really uncomfortable with one of my abdominal drains. I've had a problem that sometimes my binder kind of slips down and the top of the binder will rub against the drain. And so I'm trying to kind of pull it up and keep them from running into each other. But my drain was really hurting. So I went in to just look at it and I realized that part of the drain that's supposed to be in your body had actually pulled out of my body. So you're used to seeing this clear tube coming out. I could actually see this whole white piece that was clearly kind of meant to stay inside your body that was outside. So I was a little nervous and I called the doctor's office and they were like, whoa, it's okay. So they told me, just in case it happens to you, I was kind of panicked because it was 5 o'clock and I thought, oh no, what if I have to go into the office? I don't want to have to go to the ER or something crazy. But they told me to just kind of, make sure with very clean hands, I just tried to kind of push it back in gently if I could. And I was able to get most of it back in. They put like a little blue kind of foamy ring on the outside of that, and they'd put Tegaderm over it, but my Tegaderm and the little ring had fallen off, and I just left it thinking that it was probably fine. So what they told me to do was to kind of push it back in. I put a little bit of the Baxitracin kind of ointment over it. They told me to put just like a clean gauze pad over it and then tape it up. That is not a great place to be putting tape, I will tell you, but I packed it in tight and I taped it up. So it's fine, but that drain output, it's weird. That drain had been fairly high and now that drain has dropped to just nothing. It was like less than 5 milliliters for the last 3 readings. And so I figure somewhere in there, something is disconnected that is not supposed to be disconnected. So that's also just kind of a frustrating setback for me at this point. But I think overall, I really thought that I had this Pollyanna view of the world. I'm fierce, I'm strong, I'm going to get back out there. I'd hoped to go back to work fully this week. I was just not able to. I realized that there's a lot of physical energy that is still needed to heal. So I'm still tired. And there's just a lot of emotional energy, frankly, that I think is still required. So, I'm used to being really hard charging, working long days, working intensely, and I love that, but I just cannot do that at this point. So I did a few pickup meetings here and there, answered some email, but, even simple things like typing just hurt, so I didn't want to type. I'm relying on dictating to Siri, and Siri's not always all that accurate. The other thing that strangely has been a new phenomenon for me this week is that I just cannot sleep. So, maybe before I was just exhausted enough that I was falling asleep. Somehow this week I've not been able to sleep at all. I've been sleeping 2.5 hours at a time. And so that's been really frustrating. And I really don't know where that's come from. So, the weird thing is I would have said a week ago, woohoo, by week 4, I should be out in the world again fully. And I'm not. I decided, yesterday I needed to slow it down and act like I had just had surgery. So I spent the day yesterday sitting in my recliner, which is a whole other story, and just, wearing my pajamas, chilling out, not moving around, trying to be really well behaved, keeping my arms like close to my body, not doing anything big. I just think really those little tiny liberties that I took were just too much. I did, again, simple things. I didn't go folding laundry that required a lot of arm movement, but I threw some laundry in the washer and transferred it to the dryer. Things that they didn't have a lot of weight to them, that I thought were fairly simple and straightforward. And apparently they just took me backwards a couple of steps. So now I'm trying to retrench and figure it out to go forward. But, I would say, do what I say, not what I do. When you're starting to feel good, don't get too excited too fast to go out and just be normal again. Like, you desperately want to be normal. You want things to get back to like pre-surgery, but they're just not there. And so I guess be careful. I have a few other things that I'm going to post. I keep saying I'm going to create some other videos on some specific topics, and I'll still try and do that on things like nipple reconstruction and binders and all this kind of other stuff that I think is still out there. The other thing that I would tell you, if you are doing this because of a genetic mutation, I hope that you have found FORCE. So FORCE is facingourrisk.org, and they've got a ton of information about a variety of genetic mutations, including what I have, TP53, as well as BRCA, all the BRCAs, and they're at least a reliable source. I think, if you're going out there, you got to find places on the internet that the quality of the content is good, and it's not just a bunch of crazy boards with people talking about stuff, but that that it's substantive and vetted medical information. So beyond, some of the great medical centers in this country that have good content out there, FORCE is also another reputable source that's worth going to look up. So facingourrisk.org. That's all I got for today. I will try and get some more things out there. Please let me know if I can be of service to you in any way. I just want to be an ally and a friend for others who are navigating the same journey, because it's not easy. And one of the things that I was talking to my genetic counselor about this week, it's so frustrating to me that people will come up to you and they'll be like, "Oh, my Aunt Susie had a mastectomy. It's not a big deal." Well, maybe it was and maybe it wasn't, because they're not Aunt Susie. Aunt Susie may have not told them how hard it was, and there are just a lot of challenges that go beyond just having something cut up and sewed up and repositioned. If you're sitting here with a genetic mutation, there are other elements of heaviness that come along with it, and certainly just all the things about, you wake up with a different body one day. There are things that are just hard. And so, find people who are your friends, who are your providers, who are your confidants, who can just go in the hole with you sometimes, as my great genetic counselor said, and just say this sucks. Because, sometimes I know people are trying to be so positive and so uplifting, but they just don't always understand. And so they'll say things that are intended to be comforting, but they're just kind of tone deaf. So find the people that you can talk with about this, and hopefully if I can provide anything to be of help to you, I would certainly be glad to do it. So I will try and post a few other things out there. I hope you're doing great today, and I hope at your 4 weeks you're like, "Hey, crazy girl, sorry you're not feeling great at 4 weeks. I'm killing it at 4 weeks." I hope you're just crushing it. You're out there, you're back in the world. But if you're not, maybe slow down a little bit and get things back together. So hang in there. Hope all is good, and please connect with me. Send me posts, whatever it may be. Have a good one.